Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you guys about programming and how that's shaped and formed my career and trajectory in life thus far. I know in a lot of my videos I talk about how a skill set is really important if you want to build a large income and become wealthy one day. And I wanted to provide my life story essentially as a example of how a single skill set, being an expert in something, can really dramatically impact the trajectory of your life and your success. So I hope that you find this helpful and interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please like and subscribe if you'd like this type of content and want to see more from me. Honestly, it all started when I was pretty young. In third or fourth grade, I actually built my first computer, and it started because I was really interested in playing video games. So I was online and I would play a bunch of video games, and I would start playing with other people. And I joined what they call like a gaming clan, which is a team of gamers, and they compete against other teams. And from there I met people older than me, people that had careers in IT, and I started to really develop my love for computers. I was a huge introvert, so I would much rather prefer being indoors, playing video games, and I guess talking to strangers that I've never met in real life than going outside and actually enjoying the sunshine. That's something that I've kind of kept throughout the my entire life. Actually, I've always been an introvert, but that also gave me plenty of time to get into computers and learn about them, research them, and that eventually led me to building my own computer. As a gamer, I really cared about how smooth the game ran, and I always wanted to get all the performance I could get out of my computer so that I was a better competitor. So looked into building my own computer, figured out all the different motherboards and memory and graphics cards that I needed to buy. I bought it, assembled it, and that kind of jump-started me into my love for computers. Fast forward a couple years into high school and right before college, I got really into web design, and I dabbled a little bit in programming, but really at this point it was just HTML and CSS. And I had gotten into it not necessarily for my love of programming itself. I was always interested in computers, as you know, but I really looked at websites and design as a way to jumpstart a business. My parents, owned their own business, and for me, a businessman, being an entrepreneur was my ideal job in life. That was my aspiration, to kind of follow in my parents' footsteps. But I guess those values were instilled in me at a pretty early age. And I saw websites as a great way to capitalize on the internet and this new trend. It was very clear to me, even at that age, that with the advent of the internet and websites, businesses weren't really going to be judged so much on their brick and mortar locations, but more on their websites. If you had a great looking website that had good photography and good design, that would lend a lot of credibility to your business. And essentially, you could start a business overnight by just having a great website. So that was a lot of the motivation for me to get into websites and design early on. And from that foundation that I built when I was younger, I ended up going to UC Berkeley, and I studied electrical engineering and computer science. That was my major for 3.5 years. I graduated a little bit early, but my focus became computer science. And that's when my knowledge of computers really took off. On my own time, I had already looked at databases into building my own web applications. But at UC Berkeley, because I was around other like-minded people, and because I was really starting to think about what I was going to do after college, that's when my interest in computers and entrepreneurship really took off. And I was really interested in doing my own tech startup. So during that time, I learned Ruby on Rails. I had looked around in Silicon Valley and at the startup companies. Facebook was a new application that just came out. And when I looked at those applications, they didn't look that difficult to build, honestly. I'm sure there's a lot of complexity to them, but with Ruby on Rails and kind of the explosion of web applications and the capabilities there, I felt like I had a really good shot of building my own company, and that further propelled me and got me really interested in web applications and learning a lot of additional skills on my own. I really wanted to build my own business. So at UC Berkeley, I started a web design class. It was a student taught class. I started it myself, I think in my sophomore or junior year, and I taught that for about 2 semesters. The reason I started that course was because at UC Berkeley and other colleges where you study computer science, they teach you technology kind of piecemeal, piece by piece, right? So one class will be about databases, another class will be about artificial intelligence, another class will be about the basics of programming, and another one will be about algorithms. But there wasn't one class that I found that kind of tied all of these concepts together and actually taught you how to build a product. And for me, yes, databases and AI were interesting, but they weren't the why of why I was going to school and learning these things. The why was that I wanted to build my own product. I wanted to build my own business. And these were kind of the nuggets of information that I had to learn in order to achieve that. So I actually credit how much I learned and my ability to learn because I knew that why early on. I think it's very hard for you to pick up new information and retain it and keep it if you don't have a why for why you should remember it, why you should apply it. So for me, I knew I wanted to build my own company, and so these courses were really useful. It was almost vocational for me. So I taught this class at UC Berkeley, and it was a pretty good success. We taught 30 or 40 students every semester, and we did it for a couple semesters. But it was time for me to graduate. I had finished all my courses, I had all the credits I needed to graduate, and I didn't really have a lot of interest at staying at UC Berkeley longer than that. I was pretty impatient and I wanted to start my own business. So I remember I was working on a couple ideas on the side, trying to figure out what I should do. I was building a couple web apps and we had different ideas, but I was looking for a better opportunity, one that I could kind of join forces and get to know Silicon Valley and the players in Silicon Valley a little bit better. So I remember one day, it was pretty late, 8 or 9 p.m. I was at one of the computer science buildings at UC Berkeley. I think it was Soda Hall. And I was downstairs where you turn in your homework assignments, and they have a bulletin board of jobs or opportunities. And I read one job post, and it was different than a lot of other job posts. Most job posts or startup posts were written by kind of business majors who said, oh, I have a great idea, but we need an engineer. And engineering was kind of I felt like an afterthought to their actual business. But there was one posting that was looking for an engineer, and the business had already secured some funding from Tim Draper. Tim Draper is a very well-known VC in Silicon Valley. He's one of the big investors in Tesla originally, and I'll tell you a funny story about that later on. And the idea was kind of mixing finance with gaming, and I thought that was quite interesting. The idea in a nutshell was to build a video game and actually crowdsource hedge fund or stock trading management from that video game. Essentially, if the players are really good at predicting the stock market and managing a fake portfolio, would it be possible to actually take that data and manage a real portfolio, put real money behind it and earn an excess return, compared to something like the S&P and be competitive against other hedge funds. So pretty big idea. But it was interesting. It was the way that it was written, it really intrigued me. So I gave the founder a call. He was looking for a technical co-founder. So it wasn't just, we want to employ you as a programmer. It was, here's an opportunity to be part of this team. But I had to prove to him that I would be capable of pulling this off. And to that point, I never built any game before. So it was a leap for me to actually build this product. But I had a lot of confidence because over the last couple of years, I had built many web applications. I had learned almost all my skill set, on my own. Yes, I did go to UC Berkeley classes, but they kind of taught me more of the theory and less of the application. So I still did the majority of my learning on my own. And programming and building applications was something that was self-taught. And also I got to the level where I felt confident enough to teach others. So I had the confidence that I would figure it out eventually. I had, dealt with this ambiguity of wanting to achieve something but not knowing how to achieve it at first, and then, taking the steps, breaking down each barrier one by one, and eventually finding success. So I was able to convince him. I showed him my portfolio of work that I'd done before. And one night after, him and I worked out that we felt good working with each other, we met our lead investor, Tim Draper. So up to that point, Tim had never really given us a lot of money. So this meeting was pretty critical. We met at a restaurant, I think somewhere in like Menlo Park in Silicon Valley. We sat down and we're talking about the idea. And he asked me some pretty good questions about, did I think it was possible? What did I think about the idea? And he did his best to kind of vet me, and I guess I passed. And at the end of the meeting, we went outside to the parking lot, and he showed me his Tesla Roadster. It was a baby blue Tesla Roadster that he had actually bought for his wife. But he ended up driving it around himself because he was so excited about Tesla at the time. So kind of a funny story, the time that we were getting started with our startup was also kind of the time when Elon Musk was getting started with Tesla. So I got in his car and I was driving it around, and it was really, really fast. But at the time, the Roadster by Tesla was built off of like the Lotus chassis, and I think they were still working out a lot of the V1 kinks. So it was a cool product. It was very fast, but I wasn't super impressed with the product kind of at that time. And later on, we did end up raising that money and built a lot of applications. And later on, I also got to sit in and ride in one of the first Model S's, and that product was much more improved compared to the Roadster. We started this company. We were able to secure kind of the initial funding from Tim, and then we go in and set out to build this application. Again, at this point, I had never built any mobile application before, but my ability to learn and research allowed me to start. So the first product we built was a Facebook game, and I pulled data from NASDAQ, Amex, NYSE, so all the different exchanges, and built a real-time trading platform, and also used Flash and ActionScript to build a full Facebook game on top. So we had characters, we had an office. The idea was you're like a hedge fund manager, so you need to start from nothing, a small amount of capital, and build your reputation, build your returns. And as you do that, you can kind of decorate your office, grow your team, and manage more money. So it was a pretty ambitious product actually, but it was something that I was able to build based on my skill set. And so, programming to this point had taken me from, making a little bit of money on the side, building websites, all the way to starting my own course at UC Berkeley, and finally, to actually raising, I think $1.5 million in total from different investors in this startup. And, building this Facebook game, and then from there, building a lot of mobile games. Again, never knowing how to do these things ahead of time, just doing the research on my own, going on Google, looking at YouTube, piecing the information together, and just working really, really hard. So it was a pretty big accomplishment. And what had taken me from, my very humble beginnings to that point was my skill set of programming, plus my ability to kind of learn in my own craftiness. But programming was really the big skill that got me through the door, right? After this company, I went to Boost VC, where I was an entrepreneur in resident, and I met some other great founders. And a couple years passed after that, and then I joined a company called Whale. And Whale was a very interesting product. It was a video Q&A mobile application. The idea is you could go on there, you could ask an expert a question for a fee, and they would answer your question with a short form video and earn your fee and build a reputation there. And the founder of that company, one of the founders of the company, was Justin Kan. Justin Kan was a co-founder of Twitch, which sold to Amazon for $1 billion. At that time, again, $1 billion was a huge sum of money. So that was a pretty big success. And Twitch, even nowadays, is a very thriving business that Amazon continues to operate. So as you know, Justin Kan is a big entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. And the way that I got my foot in the door there was also my programming background and my programming skill. I remember they had posted a job opening, and at the time I was looking to explore other startups, and I played around with the product and I thought it was pretty interesting. And so I sent in my resume, and immediately, the next day I got a response, and we started talking, and I said, why don't you let me come in? I'll work with you guys for a week, and if you're happy with my skill set and we get along well together, then we can formalize something. So I went there for a week, started programming, and immediately I think they were very happy with my programming ability and my contributions to the team, and we all got along pretty well. So it ended up being a very easy transition, and I ended up meeting Justin and a lot of Justin's friends, Alex Ohanian, Gary Tan, Michael Seibel. So there's a bunch of people that I met through this experience, and again, the key contributor was my programming ability and kind of track record to that point as an entrepreneur. Fast forward a couple years, and one of the other co-founders that I met at Whale ended up doing his own business with his friends, and they were looking for another technical lead to join. And that's where my journey to Shanghai really took off. So I did end up joining them, and I moved to Shanghai for the last 5 years working on this company. And at the time when I joined, the company was doing about $30 million in revenue a year, which is, not big, but also not small. It was kind of an established company. But after joining there and working with them for the last 5 years, we've grown that business from 30 million to over 200 million in revenue. So this was another big opportunity that landed in my lap because I had this skill set of programming, my track record and resume as an entrepreneur, and being someone reliable. And so you never really know where your skill set can take you. It really can open a lot of doors for you if you're an expert in a particular field. I remember one deal that I did recently was our company was acquiring another very well-known website from a public company. And it was, just me and my friend. We flew into New York, went to the headquarters of this multi-billion-dollar company, and we're in the boardroom there. We're sitting down, we're doing due diligence on acquisition that we're about to do for $20 million. And just him and me, and the knowledge that I was armed with at the time was just the culmination of all of my own learnings. I would say 90% of what I knew, maybe 95% of what I knew, was information, experience I had built on my own through building these different applications and websites. And we're sitting there, and I'm the technical lead because my friend is not quite as technical as me. And we're doing the due diligence on this transition. And they have a team that's much bigger than ours and a lot more resources than us, but it's just me, the humble me, sitting at this board table in this top floor, multi-billion-dollar company, kind of negotiating this deal, sorting out this technology and figuring out what we need to do a successful transition. So everything worked out. We ended up doing the deal, and it was my responsibility to transition all the technology to our own servers and take over operation of this website and do the first couple iterations of the migration and execute on the business plan, at least the technical side of it. And I did that, It was just me at first, and I was able to look through all of their code base and migrate everything on my own in about like a month and a half. And for a lot of people, that was a big deal because they thought it would be a lot harder, a lot more difficult. This company that was getting rid of this asset, they had sold other assets before, and it took them the acquirers much more time to do that transition. But for us, it was actually very straightforward. And that was from my technical expertise and ability. So ended up doing a big deal. And since then, we in-housed it, and I have been essentially the CTO of this new product line. And we built it quite a bit. I mean, it's probably much more valuable than it was before, and the company is doing well. Essentially, programming and my entrepreneurial ability is what brought me to this point today. And I'm sure there's still a lot more to explore and do and work on and build, with this skill set and my experience today. I'm actually very hopeful and excited about the future and what, I can do going forward. But I wanted to share my background and kind of my story to illustrate how having a strong skill set can really carry you so far in life and unlock, a lot of opportunities and dreams that you might not have even known, could exist until you've gone down that road and honed your skill. On the flip side, as an entrepreneur, having this skill set of programming, because it's just in so high demand, it also limits my risk on the downside, right? So I've been able to accomplish all these amazing things. Of course, there's still a lot more that I want to accomplish. And, there's this dichotomy of, am I as successful as I want to be, versus, being thankful and grateful for everything that I have right now, which I am, but also, as an entrepreneur, taking all this incredible risk. If things ever went sideways, how would I support myself and my family? Well, with this skill set, at least I can always go get a job anywhere and make a decent income. So, skill set is so important, and I do attribute a lot of my success to that skill set. Of course, the skill set is a product of my hard work and my own values and learning ability, but still the skill set is what got me in the door in a lot of these situations. So anyways, if you found this information useful, if you like this video, if you enjoyed this story, please let me know in the comments below. If there's any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer them. Hope to see you all in the next video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.